2006, I mean, you know, you had that experience training with George.
Yeah.
Describe the experience. Like, how was it, and how, you know, what do you think it gave?
Well, George is really good, and not to discredit him, but it's not just him, you know, and he'll be the first to tell you that. There's a lot of guys out there. So big change in my game was training with Fabio Hollande. He was the first person to show me the influence of having a solid syllabus of basic techniques. So they called the Escalinas, and those guys repeat them, and develop a solid game. So I've taken some of those elements, added them to how I teach. Then I met Bruno Fernandez. Bruno, free classes, man. Bruno Fernandez, I got, I don't want to take credit for starting Gracie Baja in Montreal, because he did that, but he wasn't teaching, and I stalked him until he came out of hiding. Called the guy, I'm like, you got to teach me. And he was like, no, I'm not going to teach you. I'm doing my studies. Called him again, you got to teach me. Finally, he said, all right, fine, I'll teach you. So he taught me, beat me up. Some guys were like, oh, Claude's really good, but this guy's beating him up. So they came to private lesson. Then there's 4 of us, then 6 of us, 8, 10. You know, I left, I come back, and there's 40 guys on the mat. Now they have a big club out there, so it's good to be a part of having helped start something there as well. A lot of good guys in Montreal, and I appreciate the help from everybody up there.
And now when you're practicing jiu-jitsu, do you tend to still sometimes practice with the gi, or maybe without the gi?
No, I train the gi. I'm not really gamey. I try to keep my techniques, I wouldn't say basic, but you know, something I could do in the gi, no gi and a jacket at any time, any place. I like to experiment too, but I don't want to veer too far off the beaten path for what I'm going to be using. Otherwise, I'll be doing an upside down guard and some guy's going to step in my eye. That won't be good.
Great. So let's talk about diet and nutrition for a sec. For you, do you find that personally for you that your diet is much different once your training camp starts than before?
I'm an extremist, man. I'll be making fish and chips. That's how I burnt out my arm here. When I'm not in training camp, and when I do go to training camp, then I'm super strict. So I'm not the guy to teach you about diet and nutrition, because I'm like 180 degrees off camp and on camp.
So you love the fish and chips, but once the training camp starts?
I don't really like it per se, but I tried it in St. Lawrence Fish Market. They had it really good, so my girl, she had some. It was really good. She ate most of it. I had a little piece, so I said, man, I'm going to mix it when I get home. So I bought that beer batter from the store, bought a thing of beer, like some Bravo or something, put it in there, burned my damn arm up. So
yeah, and I can see you got a little thing there. Yeah.
Didn't go good.
Great, and so tell us, how exactly did you find out? How did the UFC approach you, or how did that come about for the Toronto show?
Just convergence of circumstances. I live in Toronto. I think that plays a factor. The fact that I was on injury, so I couldn't fight in the time before. Just really good timing, I guess.
Great, and actually, let's go back a few steps. How did it first come about that when the UFC first contacted you for your debut?
I don't know how they heard of. I guess they follow, you know, the up-and-coming guys, etc. I fought in the IFL, so I was sort of on the map there. And various managers had approached me. I guess they can get you in with the UFC. And I went with one, and I was offered a fight, and the rest is history.
Great. So how did it feel? I mean, I know that, you know, it's a few months away. You've won both your fights. You looked really good, and you know, in your victories over James Wilkes and Ricardo Funch. How does it feel now, knowing that you're going to be competing in probably the record-setting show in Toronto, in your hometown, in front of possibly 40,000 fans?
Well, there's only 2 people there, man. Me and that guy across the cage. So the 40,000 people can wait for afterwards. I just do my best, try to stay healthy, and go in there with a clear head and all my technique sharp, and let the fight come up. Great.
So let's talk about Daniel Roberts. Daniel Roberts is your opponent. He's primarily known as a very strong grappler too. Do you have a feeling or an inkling that a lot of time in this match is going to be spent on the ground? And you know, what are your thoughts on how he stacks up against some of your previous opponents?
I'm no fortune teller, right? So like I tell everybody who interviews me, everybody I talk to, crystal ball is broken. I can't tell you what's going to happen in the fight, or I wouldn't be fighting, I'd be gambling. Instead of fighting, making some real money. But he's a quality opponent, coming from Cesar Gracie's camp. Really good bunch of guys over there, want some of the best jiu-jitsu for MMA, so I have to prepare for that. I'll do my best, and you know, I can only thank him and the rest of my opponents for getting me ready, because he's a good guy on the ground, good shape, good wrestling, good striking, so I have to have all my game ready too. Otherwise, you go in there and you get beat up. So every fight I have, I try to improve. Well, you can't help but improve, because you keep stacking on top of your skills, and that's what I hope will happen here.
So when you take a look at his overall skill sets today, so far, is there any part of his game, or is there any part of, you know, of his style that you feel you might have the advantage and that you want to capitalize on that?
I haven't watched too much of him. You know, I've seen a couple of his UFC fights, and again, I don't profess to be an expert. It's a fight, and you know, capitalizing on things. I'm not really going to talk about what I'm planning to do. I have ideas, but everybody does until they get punched in the face, right? So all plans go out the door. In terms of fight, we'll just see what happens in there, and I hope to be doing my best. It wouldn't be the first time. He's better on the ground than me, and I kind of laughed. I'm like, it wouldn't be the first time a guy who was better than the other guy lost the fight. There's a lot of intangibles involved in fighting. It's a fight, so it's not a match. It's not jiu-jitsu, and it's not Abu Dhabi or kickboxing or anything else. We're going to go in there and scrap, and that's going to be that.
And as the hometown favorite, I mean, is there any more added pressure with the magnitude of the event, and also knowing that possibly you might have a lot of friends and family and other supporters all rooting for you?
I don't have my family there because I'd be thinking about what they're doing. You know, it's a fight, so you can potentially get hurt. I don't like to have them there at that type of time. It's like war, so they'll be home watching on TV if they choose to. Everybody else is grown adults, so they can come and enjoy the fight. And there's no added pressure. It's nice to not be the villain like I am in all the away fights, so nobody's booing. Maybe there'll be some cheers, so that's a nice little change. But I'll be away for camp most of the time, about 6 weeks out. So I'll be there in isolation, then pop in, do my fight, and I'll be back on the scene shortly thereafter.
Where is it that you're going to be mainly
top secret, man. Top secret. The ninja might show up, drop the smoke bomb, and spy on my stuff, so I'm not going to talk about that right now.
Okay, great. Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to give away your trade secrets.
No.
But I'm sure that being in Toronto, are you planning on having a lot of close personal friends and family show up at the event to support you?
Not really. No. Yeah. I mean, people can choose to go if they want, but I'm not going to hook my mom up with tickets. Like, I fought a guy once, ended up hurting him pretty bad, and his mom came after me, and I was like, man, this guy's an idiot. His mom is here. She's chasing me down with her shoe, like she wants to beat me up. And like, God, you bring your mom to a fight, you don't know what's going to happen to you. Like, everybody plans to be the winner, but I guess 50% of people are wrong because only one person can win the fight. So I think it's irresponsible to have that type of setup unless they can handle the possibility of you getting hurt. My mom's a crazy Jamaican lady, so I'm not bringing her there for that.
You started your MMA career back in 2002, and I think you started off at a record of 3-1. After that, around 2006, I believe you went to Montreal for a few months, and you trained for 8 months with George St. Pierre.
You did your research, man. You know better than me. I don't know the chronological thing. You're telling me, so go ahead and tell me what I did.
Okay. I'll start the questions at the beginning, though.
No, it's okay. We can laugh in the back. We can laugh in the background. It's okay.
Okay, great.
It's going to bloopers.
Yeah, it's all right.
Well, I'm just